It is the Friday night in association with Erdinger. We're in the Vernon. It's an absolutely brilliant pub. They've built like a full set. The Erdinger in here tastes fantastic. And let me tell you, if you come in here, you get the little tall ones. I don't know if you can quite see that. The little tall logo at the bottom of the Erdinger glasses. So yeah, they've got the full hit here. They've welcomed us. It's Friday and the Premier League is back. All that nonsense has gone away. Back with the bank, Chelsea owns boss.
It's always good, isn't it? Even when it's like 0-0 and it's not good, it's still good because we actually hate them, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, not in the rivalry, like it's a derby type of way. Just they're just a big gang of pricks. So
they hate us as well, I mean, they hate us in a way that I respect. Like we are a fucking nightmare.
We literally are, and me and you in particular. So yeah, you couldn't have come back with a better one. And plus as well, like, not to sound cocky, but it's probably the biggest game that we could have. That's also like in favour of us winning it. You know what I mean? If you come back and it's City at home, there's a good chance that you win, but there's an equally good chance that you don't win. Whereas with this one, it feels like boss games come into not going to be easy at all, but really is a chance that we get a decent win here as well. So up the reds, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a Lisa Simpson line where she says, "I wanted the challenge I could do," which reminds me of this and what Kev's just said. Like, it feels like a challenge, but very much a challenge to Liverpool. You know, should be favourites to win. I really fancy us, and if we can do it, we're able to say, "Yeah, so we're not beat a top team." Well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's been a lot made of the fact that Liverpool haven't played a top team. I think Arne Slot has been the biggest proponent of that, much to the annoyance of Manchester United fans. But I think it probably is, certainly from an attacking point of view, the biggest test that Liverpool have had so far. But I think, you know, this run that they're about to go on, it's going to be really difficult. Of course it is, they're up against some top teams, but I think there's a world actually where some of these games against the so-called tougher opposition end up suiting Liverpool more than teams that just sort of sit back and try and soak up the pressure. We know Chelsea aren't going to do that. They're going to come, they're going to be a bit more expansive, they're going to want to play. I think they'll probably score a goal or two at the weekend, but I think Liverpool have more than enough to get at that defence, and I think they stand a really, really good chance of getting a result at the weekend.
Yeah, it feels like they sort of have to have a go. Chelsea, they're set up for that. They've got all these attacking players. Defensively, they've got a couple out suspended, no bad thing. You know, for Liverpool, a couple of their best defenders, you know, out for this one, and so you feel like that they've got to come out and listen. They've got players that can hurt you, so be careful what you wish for. But at the same time, an open game should help Liverpool at home.
Yeah, it's like what Kev said before, isn't it? It's a bit like it's that nice big fixture to have, isn't it? So and a bit like what you just said as well. It's that fixture to come back to. It's an international break. Don't want to be negative.
Yes, you do. I don't just let your original self out.
You know I'm always positive.
Be authentic.
Good news, Bolster. It is. I'm trying to change the narrative here.
Man, I've been making the years. It's impossible.
No, I just
don't let the truth get in the way of you, son.
No, they've got to come at us. He's an attacking manager, Maresca. They play good football. But to be positive, they do concede goals, so I know that they've got a real good attacking threat, but they are there to be got at. And I think Arne Slot has clearly made a difference defensively this season. We've only conceded 2. I think there's only 3 chances that has been more than 0.3 XG or something like that. So it's like we've really tightened up at the back. So I just think that there's been a lot of talk about contracts and big players potentially leaving Liverpool next season or whatever, but we're forgetting that Arne Slot, and we think about Liverpool not playing a big fixture. Arne Slot's come to the Premier League for these big moments. He's come to witness Anfield at its finest, and on Sunday I think that's when he'll really see and experience what Anfield will be like. It's our 4 kick-off Sunday. We'll all have a few pints. It's Chelsea. We hate them. We know that. And I just think it'll be a brilliant atmosphere, and I think he'll love testing himself against someone like Maresca, and it'll be a brilliant atmosphere, and I just can't wait for it.
I can't wait. I feel like that. I was saying to you before you got in the game, it was almost what time we out, do you know what I mean? Because I've been quite close to kick-off most games this season, but I quite fancy getting out for the 2. Hopefully City maybe drop points, but you know what I mean? Just like it feels like a match day Sunday to me, rather than just like I'll go to the game and enjoy it and see how they get on.
Yeah, 100%. It helps that it's the Sunday half-4, doesn't it? So you can do whatever family thing you need to in the morning and still be out, as you said, for the 2 o'clock and get to Stanley or whatever and get in there. That will definitely lean into the atmosphere as well. It'll be interesting a little bit with the atmosphere, because you're saying there, like, because we hate them, we go for it. but we're quite a reactive crowd, aren't we? So sometimes we need something to dig our teeth into, whether it's Arteta acting an idiot on the sideline, a bad tackle, something we see was unfair on the pitch or whatever. And games like this, if it goes to Slot's plan, probably wouldn't include any of that, would it? Because it wants sterile domination, isn't it? Like, not, sterile's probably not the right word, but you get the point I'm trying to make. But fortunately enough for Liverpool, the game doesn't necessarily go the way you want it to all the time, so I'm sure there'll be something that happens that just kicks it up a gear. And listen, we might have to just get used to that thing being a goal for Liverpool, do you know what I mean? Because so far this season, 60 minutes in, you're a bit like,
I totally agree with that, but the only thing is, I think that he is a bit more measured, but I think the intensity is still there with Arne Slot. And we keep saying we haven't played a big side and we haven't witnessed him, but we haven't. So
what's he like in this situation?
Yeah, what's he like in this situation?
Maybe he was starting on the opposite bench and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he might be a little bit more less cool than what we think, and I just think with players like Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah and stuff, I think that the intensity will still be there. I think Liverpool will be full throttle. It will be interesting to see how different it is from Klopp, but I'm not sure it'll be as measured as you think it is. I think defensively, when we're trying to get the ball back, of course, in that transition, we will be a lot more tight and a bit more narrow. But I think going forward, I think we will be exactly how we was last season, and I think it will be an emotional occasion. I don't think the atmosphere will be as reactive in the sense that we're waiting for something to happen. I think something will happen from the first minute.
He mentioned Salah there, he's always banged up for playing against him. He's not waiting for anything, Mo Salah, he's just getting on the pitch. I think there's a little bit of him that remembers how it went there, and he loves proving people wrong, and he probably doesn't need to anymore, but you just tell Mo Salah that, and listen, if he's coming on the pitch with that attitude, I'm not going to tell him, because he's scored some great goals against them over the years, and you feel like he's got one or two more in his locker.
Yeah, absolutely, hopefully more than one or two more. But yeah, I saw the clip on Twitter do the rounds again this week of the Denver Bar goal and Mo Salah celebrating with the Chelsea players in a Chelsea shirt, and it's so surreal to think that, you know, one of the most disappointing days in Liverpool's recent history. I know.
Honestly, why were you invited there?
But it's crazy to think like one of the most disappointing results in Liverpool's recent history, and one of our greatest ever players was playing for the opposition at that time. It's crazy when you think that Chelsea let him go. He went and did what he did in between in Italy, and then came and has been just a total revelation for us. So yeah, and I think Mo is, and we've seen it a couple of times this season already, he relishes in playing in those big games. We saw him at Old Trafford, he loves playing there. Chelsea are another opponent he loves playing against. But I think the whole team, I think there's been very few players this season that you can look at and say, they've not really been at it. Even players who maybe haven't been at their very best, like Szoboszlai, for example, maybe hasn't been at his best on the ball, but in terms of his work rate, his pressing, he's just been relentless. So I think, as a team, everyone has been sort of bang at it since the new managers come in, and yeah, really excited for Sunday.
I think it's a game he might suit Szoboszlai. I agree with Beth. He hasn't maybe been as great on the ball as what you'd like this season, but because of his physicality, because of his natural ability to sort of get across the pitch, that spark that you were talking about, you could see it coming from something that he does in terms of pressing, winning the ball higher up, or just taking on one of his shots and really fizzing one. You can see he can add a spark, can't he? He's that kind of player.
100%. I think on Szoboszlai, I think the view has been a little bit coloured by the fact that he's been asked to do a slightly different job, and I think people are like, I've seen all these videos on YouTube and he scores 35 yarders every single game. I don't know whether it's just the same goal recycled or green screened or whatever, you know what I mean? But so people are a bit like, I want that, but you can't have that if you need functional midfielders to allow your attackers to do what they're doing. He could definitely be the one that sparks it, but I think his role is a little bit different. Like, his role now is more to facilitate others, and I wouldn't mind betting he doesn't necessarily like that, because what creative player does. But he just keeps doing, for me personally, he just keeps doing what he needs to do. And listen, when he's not good, he's not great at all. I'll give everyone that. But it's more often than not, you go, 7 or 8 out of 10 now. Gini Wijnaldum made a Liverpool career, and he's a Liverpool legend on the back of 7 or 8 out of 10 every week. And Szoboszlai doing the same. Listen, give him a chance on one of the free kicks, you know what I mean? Now that Trent's not signing, just leg him. Put Szoboszlai on everything, you know what I mean? Get fucking back down here, you're a proper right back.
Listen, we're going to be talking obviously much more about Chelsea and generally the weekend's fixtures in a couple of minutes. But here's an Erdinger advert to whet your appetite even more. If me and the guys in jails aren't enough drinking it. Here's a little bit more from them.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
And we're back in the Vernon. Well, we're still in the Vernon, we've not moved. We're still on the Erdingers and we're still looking ahead to Liverpool v Chelsea. In terms of team selection, Beth, would you look to do anything slightly unusual? Do you think you will? Because first one back after the last international break is our only sort of loss of the season. Obviously, you'd be wearing a player travel. He talked a little bit about the press conference about a couple of injuries. He was a bit, wasn't particularly specific on who he was talking about, so there might be a case that a couple have come back, you know, with knocks. I think he talked a little bit about Alisson, how could we have held him back for the... Do you think there might be one where we have to keep a bit more of an eye on the team announcement than what we normally do?
Yeah, I did think he was a little bit evasive this morning about injuries, which he hasn't really been so far. He's been quite straightforward when he's been asked to...
Maybe partly he just wasn't sure.
Yeah, and we had a little look in the office. We were trying to sort of glean from the training pictures who was available and who wasn't, and we're still none the wiser really. But I think purely because the one defeat came after an international break, I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a couple of changes. I think he sort of was asked quite a bit, wasn't he, after that Forest defeat, about whether sort of not rotating had impacted the result a little bit, and I think it maybe did, certainly for some of the South American lads. So especially with McAllister maybe having obviously had a few knocks over the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe doesn't start. I think Liverpool have been slightly fortunate in the sense that a couple of the key players haven't played an awful lot over the international break. Virgil obviously comes back early, which is nice and very rare, and Salah as well. So I think both of them will be good to go. I think the back line will probably be sort of the Liverpool's strongest back line. I think it'll be interesting to see what he does with Diaz versus Gakpo, because the Netherlands obviously played on Monday, I think it was, so they've had nearly a full week rest, whereas Diaz has travelled back in midweek from South America. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a couple of changes, but I think the spine of the team will still be Liverpool's strongest team.
What do you think, Pete?
I just think we've got Chelsea, Sunday, Leipzig, and then Arsenal, so I think you can't make changes. I think the only change, anyone that you're going to rest really would come during the week for me. I think Leipzig away is a nice fixture to have. Chelsea at home, I think you've got to go as full strength as possible. I think one of the guys he was talking about was McAllister, wasn't it?
That's my worry.
That's my worry, and
there's no replacement for him.
I don't know what's going on with Curtis Jones, because obviously he left the international camp up for a personal issue, didn't he? I don't know.
Yeah, we had a baby.
All right, okay. So we can go back in the can. Just sleep in the other bedroom all week and do alright, won't it?
Better lad to me, you're better off.
I know, yeah, he might be a new man. So obviously you've got Szoboszlai, Gravenberg, and then possibly Curtis Jones coming in. I prefer personally to have McAllister. You don't change the back four. You've already got a goalkeeper change. I totally agree with you. It could be Gakpo coming in. I'd personally rather see Diaz, because I just think he's electrifying on that left hand side, and I think we talk about passion and passion and to get the crowd going. I think he's your man, isn't he?
Even just down to the song's taken off, hasn't it, properly? So even just down to having that there, it's another big thing to his.
Absolutely. For me, it's got to be Jota as well, and Salah just picks himself, doesn't he? So I think
probably literally.
Yeah. You want me to sign this contract?
It's not because the team thing, and Salah's already made his name by the outside.
It's just printed on.
I can't see a world where Gakpo plays. I can see where that works and why it's the right decision. I just think, as a fan going into the ground, I'd love to see Diaz on the team sheet.
Pete's told me into Diaz there massively, like in terms of the spark that he gives. But what do you think?
I think, yeah, I can see that. I can see the point of it. But also, I think we're getting into a bit of the meat of the season now, where we might have to start seeing a few decisions that make you go, probably wouldn't be my first choice, because in 3 or 4 games' time, that decision might pay off in spades for you, mightn't it? So, the Diaz Gakpo one, Diaz has started the season off unbelievably well. Gakpo's boss. I know some people are a bit 50-50 on my looking, so I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him in any team. So no issues there. The McAllister one I'm a little bit more 50-50 with 100. Take McAllister out and I'm much weaker. Like I love Curtis Jones, but McAllister's unbelievable. But if you play him in this and there's any more problems with that green, you're starting to go, oh, we probably half had an idea that was going to happen. So it wouldn't surprise me if you just seen him go, listen, you've been back for 24 hours, you're on the bench, and say to Curtis Jones, like all week, you're playing.
Get your head down,
lad. Yeah, lads, move out of that house. Or send Air to Mars with the baby. So I wouldn't surprise me if you see Jones in there, but a very well drilled, like, he knows exactly what he's going to be facing and exactly what he needs to do in those situations because he's been working on it constantly this week. And I wouldn't, as I say, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all because Curtis Jones is a boss player. It's just that the only slight concern with it comes in the fact that has he got the rhythm because he's not played a great deal of minutes so far, has he?
Is it just our attitude to paternity leaves similar to the Conservative leadership? but we need it. But that's the thing is, you know,
go on, vote Labour, live so.
The thing with McAllister is, you know, I keep saying, oh, you need him in this big game, and like, yeah, but like, what if he goes out for 3 or 4 weeks, then all the games he's going to sort of miss there, and so he is one. The same players in every squad, not just Liverpool, the same players in every squad where you're like, there's not like a natural replacement for him. I feel like that's the case a little bit with McAllister at the moment. He is so good at what he does, but that makes you think, well, that's maybe even more reason to protect him if they feel like they need to.
Yeah, I think especially with Slot having said this morning, as you say, about Alisson, and maybe he said, like, with hindsight, maybe he would have played Kelleher in that game, and I think when you look at the run that Liverpool have coming up, you can't afford McAllister to be out for 3 or 4 weeks. So if it is a case of have him on the bench, if you need him, bring him on after 60 minutes and whatever, then maybe do that. I think one thing as well with McAllister, I can't think of too many good performances he's had after an international break, which I think there's been a few now where you've got to put it down to it's not a coincidence that he's flown back from South America. I actually think the club, it's obviously a really difficult thing for the club to sort of say to players, you're not going on international duty. But
this one was ridiculous.
Yeah, I do think, like, you know, if a player's carrying a knock and you're harbouring ambitions of going for the title and the Champions League and whatever, just don't let them fly to South America. Like, I think the club has to get a bit tougher with things like that. As much as he wants to play the country, he's played for his country. He's won the World Cup.
Yeah. What else?
Go on,
give it a break, like, you know.
No, I think he needs to take responsibility for that as well because he's part of the team and he's part of. If he wants to win, he needs to take that responsibility in the sense that, like, come on, like, you've got to make that decision. The only thing is that there are FIFA rules, aren't there, where you have to report to international.
Also, as well, he's like, if you're him, just to, like, by the way, I cannot bear international football. I'd much rather he didn't go. But if you're him, there's got to be a thing of A, he loves playing for his country because all Argentinians do. But B, how long's Leo Messi going to be playing for his country for?
Yeah.
So every time he gets the chance to play with the greatest player ever to kick a ball, I think I'd be this
I
great as well.
I think like I contradicted myself a bit there. I think it is just an international rule, isn't it, from FIFA, that if you don't turn up, then you can get banned for your club as well. So I think it might be an element of that. But for me, I get what you're saying about protecting players, but if you protect players too much and you don't get the results in the meantime, you might not be in.
Save yourself for tomorrow, and then you're out.
Yeah.
Listen, it's hard, and that's why Slot's making the decisions, but he's making them all right. Well, mostly right at the moment, Kevin. We can talk about what we do, but he's in his job and he's done phenomenally well. And I think it's a big run of games, and we keep saying it, but he just looks like a man who's just taking everything in his stride. And I think he'll be the same with Sunday. He's just going to make every decision with a cool head. He's going to pick what he thinks is the right team, and whatever happens on the day, you know, you back him to sort of manage it all because that's what he's done.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the fact that he has started so well is then if the players had any sort of lingering doubts, well, they're quelled then, aren't they? Whereas if there have been a few dodgy results, because the Nottingham Forest one was such a poor performance, it's such an outlier that you wouldn't even really consider it in the data. So the rest of them have been performances of either such an easy win that we've been knocking off by half an hour to go or whatever, or we've had to tweak and change things like Wolves away, where he's made those tweaks and changes and come away with the 3 points. So he's got a lot of credit in the bank, but not just the fans but the players as well. So I trust him with whatever team that he picks, but also I think the players will be exactly the same. They'll be like, okay, yeah, well, I can see where that comes from. And the other thing is, there's not that much jeopardy on your starting lineup if you can literally change 5 of your outfield players. Do you know what I mean? You can literally change half of your team. And that's the bit where, that's where he'll earn his coin, isn't it? In a game like Sunday, if it's not quite going well, okay, well what's he going to do off the bench to make that difference there? And listen, I'll be honest, I wasn't jumping for joy when we got him as the manager, but I've been totally impressed by everything he's done while he's been here, so I trust him to make them changes if he needs to.
Yeah, you trust him going into this big run of fixtures to make the right calls, to manage the squad, but also to also always behave like a Liverpool manager. And what I mean by that is expect success and expect to be winning and not take anything, by surprise, because that's the way he's been since he walked in.
Yeah, I've said this a couple of times. I've been, like Kev, I've been so impressed by him since he was come in, and he had an impossible task really in the eyes of many, coming in and trying to replace Jurgen Klopp. And I think the thing is, he's come in and he's not tried to imitate him, he's not tried to continue what he's done. He's come in and he's shown respect for him, but he's very much said, this is my team now, this is my job now, and he's made it his own. And he's very different to Klopp. He's a lot more understated, but I still think he's super impressive. I think he's an exceptional speaker. I think he's really charismatic actually, and I think that was something when he first came in, we were a bit like, having been used to Jurgen for 9 years, what's it going to be like having someone who's a little bit more understated? But I think you can see now his personality starting to come through a little bit, and I do think, as much as he's not been as emotional in terms of fist pumping, in front of the Kop and things like that, I think you've seen flashes like Old Trafford, for example. You could see how made up he was after that win, and I think if he has a big win at Anfield and a win where it's bouncing and he beats one of these big teams, then I think you'll start to see that personality come out even more.
I think he's going to love Sunday. I think he's going to love it.
I think he's going to love Sunday. What I love about Arne Slot so far is the fact that how happy we are with him and how impressed we are, and he's just not bothered. He's just like, yeah.
It's my relationship.
He's like, I know, but I expected this. I think he backs himself.
Yeah.
I touched upon it before that he must believe that he's one of the best managers in the world, and he's going to prove it now. He's in one of the best leagues in the world, and I think he will be relishing the challenge. And I think why we keep talking about his best starts for the Liverpool manager since Bob Paisley or whatever, or is the best ever now? I'm not really sure.
It might be the best ever,
yeah, he's the first manager to win 4 away games. He's just genuinely not bothered, because it's a bit like what Jurgen Klopp said at the beginning, wasn't it? It's not what you think of me at the beginning, it's what you think of me when I'm leaving. Yeah. And I think he's got a similar attitude in a different aspect really, and I think he wants to win trophies and he wants to be at the top of that Premier League at the end of the season. I think in the first season, if he finished second or third, I'm not going to say he's going to look back and go, oh, that was a failure. But at the same time, right now, he's not really bothered about what a start is. He's bothered about Chelsea Sunday, and the next thing, and that's the most impressive thing for me.
The next thing is Chelsea on Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, there's loads more. If you subscribe to the Anfield Wrap, if you're not a subscriber, we're going to be doing the best post-match reaction anywhere, we think, straight from the pubs around Anfield. We're in the Glenbook. Everyone's in the Glenbook Sunday, big Glenbook party.
To be fair, it's massive now as well. I know we've done, and it's so.
Mick Lavy keeps finding another room. Knock that wall down. Get a studio in there. Absolutely brilliant. We're all going to be in the Glenbook. Hope you have to big Liverpool win on Sunday, so make sure you subscribe, or whenever you're watching in the world, enjoy the game, and as always, up the Reds.